Commissioner Lauren Baylog.
Morning.
Commissioner Wayne DeLuz is absent and excused. Commissioner Chantel Perrin is absent and on her way. And the commission today welcomes a new member, Mr. Matthias Kush.
Good morning.
He is replacing Commissioner John Cross, whose term ended in December. Welcome aboard. And I am Chairperson Dennis Lin. We have quorum to hold this meeting. Introducing from the Office of the Corporation Counsel, Deputy Corporation Counsel Susanna Tiapula, attorney for the commission.
Aloha.
Deputy Corporation Counsel Jean Campbell, attorney for the Planning Department. Representing the Planning Department, Deputy Director Jeffrey Darrow.
Good morning.
And we have staff, Planner Christian Kay, Commission Secretary Melissa Dacayanan Salvador, and Tracy Lee Camaro as the Zoom host. Okay. Just as a few housekeeping items, please turn off or silence your cell phones. If there is anyone here who would like to testify, please fill out the yellow sign-up form at the staff table. Also, if you have any written testimony that has not been sent in earlier, you may submit it now to staff. Please press the button on your microphone if the light is on and red. That means your microphone is on, and speak directly into your microphone, and remember to mute it when you are done speaking. Please raise your hand to be recognized by the chair before you start speaking. Okay, we now move on to the approval of the minutes. The December 7th, 2023 and January 4th, 2024 minutes were circulated. Any commissioners have any comments on those minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve December 7th minutes.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Chair Daniele,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Baylog, that the minutes of December 7th and January 4th be approved as circulated. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motions are approved. Minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, statements from the public on agenda items. As stated in the published agenda, members of the public may provide public testimony regarding any agenda item now or at the time the agenda item is called to order. Testifiers on Zoom, please keep your video camera off and audio muted until you are called by Tracy to speak. Please note that this is an in-person meeting and the Zoom platform and YouTube live stream are provided as a courtesy. Therefore, our meeting will proceed even if the Zoom or YouTube connections fail. Before we start to receive public testimony pursuant to Rule 1-5, the Planning Commission's Rules of Practice and Procedure, I would like to remind everyone to be courteous and respectful of all testifiers, staff members, and commissioners. Please direct all testimony to me as the chair. All right, at this time, is there anybody here? Okay. Who wishes to testify? I see here this is for agenda item number 2. Is there anybody who would just like to testify now or before the agenda item is called? Did you sign up already? Okay. Are you here on this list for agenda item, or item number 2 or? Okay. Would you like to testify now? Okay. Okay, it's up to you. Okay. Tracy? May the record show that Commissioner Perrin is now here. Thank you. Tracy, any Zoom testifiers for public testimony?
Hi, good morning. We have a Betty Osako who is here to testify on agenda item number 2. So Betty, would you like to provide your testimony now or when the agenda item is called?
When the agenda is called, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, seeing that there is no general testimony, we'll move on to new business. We have agenda item number 1. Applicant Aloha Kia, revoke application number PL-SMA-2023-000032, Request to revoke special management area use permit number PL-SMA 2023-000032, which was granted by the Planning Commission on September 1st, 2023 to allow for the development of a new car dealership and service station on 1.795 acres of land situated within the special management area. The subject property is located at 92 Kalanianaole Street, approximately 760 feet northwest of its intersection with Kanoilehua Avenue, Waiakea, South Hilo, Hawaii, TMK 32-1-006, parcel number 2. This time we'll bring up staff. Christian, thank you.
Thank you, Chair Lynn. Good morning to you and to the members of the Windward Planning Commission. Welcome, Commissioner Kush. This one's pretty straightforward. This was a SMA permit that was approved concurrently with a rezone recommendation up to the County Council. Because the rezoning ultimately failed at the County Council, what was approved under the SMA permit can no longer be developed currently. In the past, we have had conditions of SMA that would link the approval date of the SMA to the rezoning approval. In this case, we didn't have it, hence the applicant is requesting a revocation of this SMA permit. I'll be happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Christian. Commissioners, any questions on this application? Okay, seeing none. Applicant? Okay, if you could please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission.
I do.
Please speak directly into your microphone and state your name, the area you reside in, and whom you represent.
John Pippin, Land Planning Hawaii, representing the applicant Aloha Kia. I reside near Honoka'a.
Okay, and have you received reports from the Planning Commission or Planning Department regarding this matter?
Yes, we have.
Okay, and do you agree and have any further comments?
Yes, we do agree. Just a little explanation. I feel like I owe the commission a bit of an apology. When I do raise my hand and swear to tell the truth, I do take that seriously. And unfortunately, I did misrepresent a fact of the matter at my appearance before the Planning Commission. I stated that the current tenants of the building were well aware of the plans in its entirety. And unfortunately, due to a miscommunication, a critical miscommunication with the property owner, like a bad telephone game, they weren't aware of the the whole scope of the project. Unfortunately, that did come out at the county council and just kind of soured the whole process, unfortunately. So I feel bad for Aloha Kia. I apologize to them too. You know, having a project be consistent with the general plan and mitigate all potential impacts with respect to special management area and all of that is not enough, obviously. You've got to engage with the community early and often in the process. And I'm taking that lesson to heart with future projects, not only in this area, but in other areas, of course. So again, apologies, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have. I think it is maybe important to note this is the last month of this early public comment period for the new draft general plan coming out. That this draft general plan land use pattern allocation guide map still identifies this property as industrial. You know, that's what we are intending to do, a rezone for industrial uses. And it didn't work out. You know, we had good support up until that last moment. So Aloha Kia is still, you know, on a ticking clock. Their lease is running out. And so the bottom line is there's not adequate zoning for them to relocate from their leasehold. And that was the impetus. That was the reason for this rezone in the first place. And I think it is crucial that the general plan be informed by the CDPs, and in this case, the lack of a really working Hilo CDP kind of muddies the water and makes for the potential for errors like this to occur. So it's crucial that the general plan be informed by the CDPs and yeah, just bigger picture items here. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Pippin. Commissioners, any questions or comments for Mr. Pippin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a matter of housekeeping. Unfortunately, there was some confusion regarding the posting of the agenda, and I just want to clarify on the record that we did post the correct address and TMK for the property, but apparently in regards to a connection between an intersection where Kalanaanoli meets with Kamehameha Avenue, there's a disconnect there. So to correct the record, it actually is the distance from the intersection of Kamehameha Avenue and Kanolehua, 760 feet northeast from that intersection. So just so we can clarify the record on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Okay, I will now ask for a motion for action on this matter.
I move to approve the revocation of special management area use permit docket number PL-SMA-2023-000032 based on the planning director's recommendation, which documented the consequences of the denial of the associated change of zone request in PL-REZ-2023-000047 for the applicant.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Vice Chair Daniele for approval of revocation. Is there a second on this motion?
I second.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Perrin. Any discussions or comments on this motion? Okay, seeing none. Okay, staff roll call vote, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
Commissioner Baylog,
Aye.
Commissioner Kush,
Aye.
and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much. We notified in writing. Okay, we will now move on to agenda item number 2, which is Manono Corner LLC PL-REZ 2023-000053 application for a change of zone from a single family residential 10,000 square feet RS10 zoning district to an industrial commercial mixed 20,000 square feet MCX 20 zoning district for 21,023 square feet parcel of land. The subject property is located on the northeast corner of East Lanikaula Street and Manono Street, Waiakea House Lots, Waiakea, South Hilo, Hawaii, TMK 2-2-036, parcel number 76. Okay, public testimony on this matter. I'll start in person and then, well, actually, we have only one testifier on Zoom, right? So maybe we do the Zoom testifier first.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
My name
So-
is Betty Osako.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have to swear you in first.
Okay,
Okay. If you could please raise your right hand.
yes,
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
yes, of course.
Okay, please speak clearly. State your name, the area you reside in, and whom you represent.
My name is Betty Osako. I live on Lanikaula Street, which is just a few houses, mauka of the property that we're talking about.
Okay, And you have 3 minutes for your testimony. Thank you.
Okay. My family has lived there for over 70 years. I've seen that property as Hilo Transportation as a child. And it was a viable business. My concerns are first, it says, according to the map that you sent me, the entrance to Lanikaula Street is from a right turn onto the property and then a right turn out of the property. So my first question is, how are you going to prevent anyone on Lanikaula Street making a left turn onto the property? My second question is on Manono Street. The map, the diagram shows that it will allow people to make a left turn from the parking area onto Manono Street. I feel this is very dangerous because my neighbor has lost her father. When I was a baby, she lost her father at that corner in a bad accident. And subsequently there were traffic lights, but that still doesn't prevent accidents happening at that corner. And so I'm very wary about why would you allow anyone to make a left turn onto Manono Street from the parking? The third issue that I am concerned about is the number of parking spaces. I'm not sure what kind of businesses are going to be there, and I'm sure it depends on what kind of businesses are going to be on the property. But I feel that the number of parking spaces may not accommodate the number of cars that might want to use the businesses there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the testifier? Okay, if not, we'll move on to in-person testifiers. First person I have here is Gail Rhodes. Okay. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Okay. Okay, your microphone's on. Please speak directly into the microphone. Begin your testimony by stating your name, the town you reside in, and please summarize your testimony within 3 minutes.
My name is Gail Rhodes. I live at 1045 Manono Street, directly next door to the proposed change in zoning. I do not want to live next door to an industrial building. I've lived in my home 28 years. I love Waiakea house lots, and I saddened to see more and more businesses move into the neighborhood. I am very concerned about the traffic. I have trouble getting out of my driveway right now. And according to the map, the exit onto Manono would be right directly 10 feet next to my driveway. I'm wondering, have any of you looked at the proposed, driven up Manono and looked at the impact it's going to have on the intersection? It's going to be terrible. I'm also concerned about security. Behind the proposed building will be a space for people to do drugs and other unsolicited activity. I've been burglarized at least twice during the 28 years I've lived on Manono, and I'm concerned about unauthorized activity after hours. I'm concerned about security. I believe we need more affordable housing rather than an industrial building on that corner. Why not put up an apartment building or 2 or 3 houses? Directly across the street, a new house has just been built. It's beautiful. It's in keeping with the neighborhood. I also am concerned about the impact on the value of my home being right next door to an industrial building. I don't think I'll have the resale value if an industrial building goes up right next door to my house. The driveway issue is a big issue for me. I have trouble getting out of my driveway now. Monono, the traffic has increased exponentially in the 28 years I've lived there. Lanikaula is an artery coming down from Kinaole and Kilauea. It empties onto Monono. Monono backs up clear past Leilani now. With another business on the corner, it's going to congest that traffic area and make it impossible for me to get out of my driveway during traffic times, morning, noon, dinner, and evening. So I'm very concerned about the zoning change. I want it to stay residential. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Commissioners, any questions for this testifier?
Yes.
Vice Chair Daniele.
Yes, I have a question. So, the two houses that they're proposing to raise, are they occupied?
Yes, the house on the corner, the big yellow one, has people living in it. There's 4 cars there all the time. And 2 cars leave during the day, so we're assuming they have jobs. But 4 cars are parked there every night. I have seen a person exiting the building in and out on a daily basis. So I know people are living there. The house next to mine, so that's the corner house, and then there's the next house. That house has been a rental for the 28 years that we've lived there, and it's empty right now. So I'm concerned about homeless getting in there. It's trashy looking. I'm all for raising that property, but I don't want to see industrial go in there. I want to maintain the neighborhood. So there are people living there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioners have questions? Okay, if not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next testifier I have is Lou Rhodes. Yep, there you go. Okay, if you could please raise your right hand.
Hello, thanks for hearing me.
Yeah, thank you. If you could please raise your right hand, I have to swear you in first. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter, now before the Windward Planning Commission?
Yes,
Okay. You can begin your testimony by stating your name, the town you reside in, and please summarize your testimony within 3 minutes. Thank you.
okay, my name is Lou Rhodes, and what was the second thing I was supposed to say?
The town you
I'm
reside in.
sorry, I forgot my hearing aids. on
Yeah,
way
the
up
the town you reside in,
What
and
now?
then the town where you live.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hilo.
and then summarize your testimony within 3 minutes.
Okay. Most of what my wife said, I would agree with also, but I have some other issues that I think are important. There's been 2 other zoning changes on that section of Monona Street, both across the street from us, one directly across and one further Mackay. I think both of those were a mistake. I think that they misrepresented the reasons for the change. I don't really understand the reason for the change. The first one was right across the street from us at 1046 Monono Street. And that house, they said they needed for the owner at the time's business, which is a mortgage company. That was 18 years ago that they changed that one. No business ever went in there. They used it as a rental for a while. They stored buses there for a while. It was abandoned for a while. For a while, it was kind of kept up, and then it wasn't kept up. And eventually and also there was supposed to be a stipulation with that. They couldn't have changed the appearance of the building. When they approved it, they said that they wouldn't be allowed to change the appearance of the building. Well, now they've removed the structure there. So that didn't work out like we were told it would. So I don't know what's happening there exactly, but there's been absolutely no reason for that zoning change since that zoning change was made. And it's just an eyesore. It hasn't contributed anything to the neighborhood. And it used to be a residence, which, we need residences because we got a homeless problem and price of housing and everything. So I think that's an issue. And then further down the street, that was 2013, I think. They changed the zoning on that and consolidated 3 lots into 1 lot. And there is now on two of those lots, they've removed the houses that were there and they're now using it as like a dirt and gravel base yard. And there's big piles of dirt and there's big heavy equipment there loading trucks and rock going off. And it's noisy during the day and it's an eyesore. And I think the zoning changes are contributing to the degradation of the neighborhood. And they're not adding anything. I mean, maybe if a business had gone in there, there'd been some added value, but it's just degrading the neighborhood, which ultimately is degrading Hilo and degrading the county of Hawaii. So I think it's a bad idea to make another mistake because both of those have turned out to be, and what appears to me, mistakes. You drive by and look at them, there's nothing nice to look at there. It's pretty ugly, both of them. And so that's one big reason why I think that's a bad idea. Just as a general idea, I think that you make cities less attractive to residents. Residents move out. And if the residents move out, the businesses move out and you got urban decay. And I think these zoning changes that have happened in the past are contributing to that. And I don't see any reason this one would be any different because the last two, that's the way they've gone. So I think it's a bad idea. I think it was a mistake then. I think it's a mistake now. One other thing I just saw that I thought was interesting, and I didn't write it in the write-up I made, but I think maybe it's worth commenting on. I just saw.
Please
a segment.
summarize. 1
What?
minute left. Please summarize.
Okay, I think I'll just cover, just a couple more points. There's a segment on 60 Minutes that said there's a huge oversupply of office space in the nation because people are working from home so much more and there's huge big office buildings standing open and they're thinking that might be a cause of a big economic downturn. At least one of the testifiers in that segment said, because of the fact that the mortgages are going to come due on those and they aren't going to be able to pay their mortgages and they aren't going to be able to renew their mortgages because there isn't a demand anymore. So it's not a good investment. So that's another problem. I don't think we need more office space. And there are other business spaces. There's lots of empty lots around that I see. I don't know that you really need to be changing zoning. And if you do need to be changing zoning because we need more residential places, we should be changing it from commercial to residential, not the other way. That doesn't make much sense to me. And then I would like to leave with 3 questions, just not for you to answer for me, just to think about when you're making your decision. One
Please
is,
finish within the next 50, please.
I've
finish
already
quickly.
kind of said, why is this zoning change any different than the last 2, which have contributed nothing and kind of ruined the neighborhood? If zoning, why, boy, I think trust is an issue. I think that if you could buy into a residential neighborhood, you should be able to trust that it's going to stay a residential
I'm
neighborhood.
sorry, you finished your 3 minutes.
Time's up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions, commissioners?
Yeah, turn that.
No?
No.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Next testifier I have here is Maluhia. Is it Mauna? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just press that button right on in front of you that has a little head. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. And then please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter, now before the Planning Commission?
Yeah.
Okay. Please start by stating your name, town you reside in, and then summarize your testimony within 3 minutes.
My name's Maluhia Mauna, 3rd generation living on Lanikaula. My mother is Betty Osako, who testified online. Live in Hilo. Okay. My concerns are the same as my mom's. And of course, the concerns this gentleman raised as well. The other concern is really the public safety, especially during rush hours, the morning, and then after like between 3:30 and 5-6 o'clock is very high traffic. Even my friend got into a bad accident last year right on that intersection. So with added things coming into that section, turning and whatnot, and people chancing it or whatever. Those are very serious concerns for me, for the public, especially knowing the history, even the history of the stories, because, you know, my mom sharing those stories with us too. Just for the public safety is my main concern, especially in such a high traffic area. I know that they made that other street to ease that flow because it's all coming from the UH, yeah. Very intense, always backed up. And some people cannot cage their rage, so gets a little intense sometimes. For whatever reasons that they're going through, to speed or not drive with aloha, you know. So one more thing, my brother was a little bit reserved to want to testify, but he might want to, if it's okay with the commission, for him to be able to testify as well.
Is he in the audience
Yeah.
right now? Okay, I'll allow it. Yeah. Are you finished with your testimony?
Yes.
Okay, if you want to come up, sir.
Morning.
Morning. If you could raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission?
I do.
Okay, please state your name, where you reside, and then summarize your testimony within 3 minutes.
My name is Masta Osako. I live on Lanicola Street in Hilo. My concern, is there anything else I got? Okay, so my concern is, yes, like when I go out, I'm always hit with traffic right in front of my house. It's always congested. I have a hard time taking a left. It's easy to take a right, but even then it's still hard because people who drive, I understand, they don't live on the property. They're not thinking, they're thinking of getting from point A to point B in whatever time they have to do. And I get it. People are busy and people have lives. And it's very, like I said, it's very hard to move freely in and out. Sometimes people will be nice and they'll leave a gap so I can take a left onto Lanekola going Mauka. But majority of the time, I have to watch everybody speeds to the red light and they don't let me out because they don't live there. And I understand that, right? I live there. Those are the things that I have to deal with. But I don't know what intent or what is going to be built on that lot. That is private property. They have the right, I get that. But when those impede on my freeness to move on and off of my property or the property on which I reside on, it takes a toll. Cause yeah, I mean, little by little, it just eats away. Cause once again, I can't move freely on and off the property from my driveway. Other things I really don't know, but that's just an inconvenience every day, whether it's in the morning or in the afternoon. There is that little yield, not island, like a little island. I've seen people pass onto that to take a left onto Manono. This is going towards the highway. For me, I kind of use that as like, I use it myself only to turn into my driveway so that I don't impede traffic behind me. So it's nice to improve things, but are we really improving things? Or are we actually, I get it, like progress and change, you can't stop that. But, you know, do we improve it just for improving things? Or are we just, people like me and residents in that area, that's not really improvements. It's impeding in our daily lives. It affects our daily lives. And another also like, it's just, yeah. I thought like, it's an investment property. I get it. Once again, you can do what you want with your property, but you have to think about the people that actually live there day to day. If you don't live there day to day, then you don't experience these traffics and, all these impediments on other people. But yeah, so I can't, like I said, I can't really do anything. All I can do is, I guess, give my testimony. Yeah, so it's just kind of, yeah, but day to day, I get it. Everybody got to work, everybody got to struggle, and we're all struggling. But if it's just for an investment property or just the means to make money, you know, in terms of like renting space, um, that really doesn't serve any purpose to me personally. Um, but once again, private property, their property, do what they will. But try to,
Please finish your testimony.
okay, thank you. But yeah, that's all, pretty much that's all I have to say is it just impedes on my day-to-day life, in that way.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
testimony. Commissioners, any questions or comments, for the testifiers? Just for my clarification, when you're talking about cars are passing on are you talking about the middle lane?
No, so on Lani Kaula, right after the intersection, Mauka of the intersection,
Yeah.
there's that yellow double line space, you
Mm.
know, where it's kind of like yellow line, it's like an oval shape and it has a lot of lines. People will, if they're before that, they'll go around traffic to get into the left lane to turn down onto Monono. But I use that very space so that I can turn left onto my property so that I don't impede traffic behind. People can actually pass. We don't have that infrastructure for that amount of traffic, I believe. And that's everywhere. We want to improve, but we don't have the infrastructure to support people coming in. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions, commissioners? Okay. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, are there any other testifiers here in the room or on Zoom? Okay, seeing none, then public testimony on this matter is now closed. And I will go on to staff presentation on this agenda item. Christian?
Yes, again, thank you, Mr. Chair. If you give me a moment, I'll bring the presentation up. Okay, just to clarify, Tracy, can you see the presentation on the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, as the chair stated, this is a change of zone application, applicant Monono Corner LLC. The subject property indicated in the red star here is located in the South Hilo district of Hawaii Island in the Waiakea House Lots area. It's at the corner of Monono Street and East Lanikaula Street. The applicant is requesting a change of zone from a single-family residential 10,000 square feet zoning district to an industrial commercial mixed 20,000 square feet zoning district for a 21,023 square foot parcel of land. The applicant proposes to demolish 3 existing structures and construct a single-story, 4,950 square foot structure for retail and/or office uses, on-site parking, and access driveways. The applicant anticipates completing the proposed development within 8 to 10 years of the approval date of the change of zone at an estimated cost of $850,000. Here's the county zoning map. The subject property is here outlined in red, again at the corner of Monono and East Lanikaula Street. The subject property and much of the surrounding area is zoned single-family residential, 10,000 square feet. There's some other commercial and industrial zoning in the area, some neighborhood commercial here indicated in pink, and other industrial uses and mixed industrial commercial uses indicated in the gray colors. The subject property and all of the surrounding area is designated by the State Land Use Commission as urban. And here is the general plan land use allocation pattern guide map. showing again the subject property outlined here in red within the industrial LUPAG designation as indicated in gray. Thus, the MCX zoning would be consistent with that designation. Other LUPAG designations in the area, it's a medium density urban indicated in the mustard color, and then high density urban here to the left indicated in red. Here is the applicant's submitted site plan showing the property and elevations of the proposed structure. Again, for reference, we've got Monono Street running left to right at the bottom of the screen and East Lanikaula Street running north-south on the right-hand side of the screen. The proposed building here is going to be just under 5,000 square feet, also showing the proposed parking area and then access. So the applicant is proposing a right-in, right-out access onto and from East Lanikaula Street, and then from Monono Street, a right-in access, but then a full right-in, right and left out access coming onto Monono Street. For your reference, this was proposed. However, the Department of Public Works commented in response to the proposal, requesting that the access be limited to right in, right out on both roadways. We have requested staff from the Department of Public Works here, and Robin Matsumoto is here. So if you have any questions about the access, she'd be happy to address those. Here are some aerial photos of the property and surrounding area. The upper left is more zoomed out, showing some of the existing, mostly residential uses, but some of the surrounding commercial and limited industrial uses and Hawaii Community College campus use. Bottom right here is more zoomed in. You can see the subject property again outlined in red. There are two existing single-family dwellings and an old commercial garage use that are being proposed to be demolished, and then the property would be improved with the new proposed building. Again, for reference, we've got Monono Street running here on the left side up and down on the screen, and then East Lanikaula Street running at the bottom of the screen. Here are some photographs of the subject property. Here's a view of the property from across Monono Street. You can see the two existing dwellings and the garage area with associated parking. Bottom right is a view of the property from across East Lanikaula Street. And the planning director is recommending a favorable recommendation be forwarded to the county council with conditions. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Christian. Christian, maybe if you could keep these slides up, we might reference them for discussion.
Sure. One more thing, if it's helpful, I did also create a slide here, which is a more zoomed in intersection photo, and I overlaid it, generally for presentation purposes with the applicant's site plan relative to access on and off to Monono, so you can kind of see what the existing intersection looks like in the existing area and where the turns are being proposed. So if that's helpful for discussion.
Thank you. Okay, staff, commissioners, any questions for staff?
Yeah, could
Vice
you,
Chair.
yeah, could you put that photo up? Could we identify the two residences that we have testifiers from on that map, please?
At the end of the property, the subject property right next to it, and our house is in the back. Right over there.
Sorry, Vice Chair, maybe if Mr. Rhodes, if you want to speak into the mic for the record so that people can hear where you're speaking.
Just out of frame. Just barely see a little bit of our one that's
At the very top of the slide.
yeah, I'm not sure how to get that in. Yeah,
Okay.
in that slide, it's just right at the top edge of the slide.
Okay. And the other testifiers, where is their residence?
Actually, if we could have Mr. Rhodes come back. Mr. Rhodes?
Our house and our driveway empties right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, if you could speak into the mic, Mr. Rhodes, to just repeat what,
But you have to be speaking it.
yeah, if you could speak into the mic though, for the
You
record.
want to do it or you want me to try to do it? So at the end of that property, the next house on Monona Street, Mackay is our property. So, and is that what you wanted to hear? or-
Yeah, so that you're speaking, that house with the red roof is your house.
Yes, it's
Okay.
set back and the driveway runs back along right next to where their driveway will be
it.
exiting.
Thank you. And then the Osakos, if you want. You're not gonna be able to, you're not gonna be able to see it on this one, but the other slide that you had previously. If you can, please. Thank you. So where's the little mouse? Oh, right here. Okay, so this is the island that I was talking about, and this is the driveway. This is our house on the corner. Okay. So people are, when you were testifying, you were saying people use that
Yeah.
yellow portion to
Yes.
pass other cars,
Yes,
or use that
they-
as a entry
yeah,
kind of.
that's what I
corridor.
use it as so that I don't impede traffic from behind. Because if I do, then people will miss the traffic light and then that backs up traffic.
Okay,
So unfortunately, I have to do what I have to do.
Right.
To get into my property.
understood. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Okay, if not, we'll now allow applicant to come up and the applicant's representative. Sir, if I may, if you could press the mic on your side as well. There you go. Okay, I'll please first swear you in. So if you could please raise your right hands. Swear you in at the same time.
Okay.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter now before the Windward Planning Commission.
I do.
Okay. Speak directly into the microphone. State your name, the area you reside in, and whom you represent.
Sure. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Sidney Fouquet. I'm a planning consultant. I'm here assisting the applicant, Robert Hamilton. My residence address is here in Hilo.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good morning. My name's Robert Hamilton. I reside in Curtistown and I am the owner of this property and have been for the last 21 years, I believe.
Thank you. Have you guys received the background and recommendation reports from the planning department?
Yes, we've had a chance to I've had a chance to review it with the applicant, particularly the proposed conditions and the background report, and the proposed conditions were confirmed to be acceptable by the applicant. So yes.
Okay. Do you have any further comments that you would like to share with the commissioners?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Can you put that?
Which slide do you want to see?
Just overall. Yeah, the traffic and all. Yeah, that one, yeah. Okay, yeah. I think, the staff's background report is, and you have the written one before you, so it's kind of comprehensive. So pretty much, I'd like to kind of help address some of the comments that were offered by the surrounding property owners. First of all, I think like maybe we can just kind of separate it in terms of two categories. One relates to just the overall land use issue, and the other one specifically targeting the traffic question. So relative to the land use issue, I mean, there are comments about like maybe the property should not be rezoned to industrial. It should be set aside maybe for higher density residential uses, so on and so forth. I mean, that's kind of like novel, but it goes contrary to the general plan. And so probably the staff can kind of verify that if the property it's currently zoned single family residential, So if he were to rezone it to multiple family or duplex or whatever, it would be contrary to the general plan. So that rezoning on its face would not be acceptable. So he's kind of like stuck in the sense that in terms of any new zoning classification would have to be industrially related. So given that kind of scenario, he looked at different options of, there's three industrial categories. You have the heavy industrial, you have a light industrial, and you have the mixed commercial industrial. So mixed commercial industrial pretty much is the lightest or most benign of industrial uses. So you have more a combination of commercial and retail activities. The only exception I would think within the MCX zone, which isn't allowed in a general commercial district, would be like self-storage facilities. Well, self-storage facilities with the MCX zone would be possible. So what I'm trying to share with the commission is essentially that regrettably, even if he wants to have a higher density, maybe a residential project, it would be contrary to the general plan, would not be possible as it currently stands. There were also comments about like there were 2 or 3 other properties in the general area that were rezoned, recently, or recently, at least in this century. Those 2 properties are, I downloaded them and they're commercially zoned, and the rows are correct. The property across of them was rezoned commercial, and that rezoning occurred in 2005, and with the stipulation that construction occurred within 5 years, subject to a 5-year administrative extension. Well, that expired. So essentially, the property is kind of like one of those properties from a zoning standpoint in limbo. So whoever wants to develop or use the land for what it was currently zoned for, zoned for commercial neighborhood, would have to go back to the commission and also ultimately before the council to seek an extension before anything can happen on the property. Why the property has not been developed, neither me nor Mr. Hamilton can really say that. It's their respective property owners' choice. There were also the other property that was zoned in 2016, just further down the street. There were actually 2 parcels. That property too, they had like a 5-year construction window. It was subject to a 5-year administrative extension. And so it was effective August of 2016. So basically, if subject to an administrative extension, they would have like until the year 2016, to complete something on the project. Why they haven't, why they have or have not developed, again, we don't know. Like the other comment that was made relating to the land use was that, perhaps there's not a demand and maybe its location is not the most conducive for commercial activities. And I think the letter, the testimony pointed out to Subway, just right up the street, which is a small little commercial complex, was within a small little commercial complex on the corner of Lenny Kaula and Kilo Avenue. I don't necessarily subscribe to that because if you just look just go further, Mauka, on the corner of Lenny Kaula and Kinoole, you have the Bank of Hawaii. So it's not necessarily the location that dictates whether a building or use is or is not successful. There are so many other factors that go into what makes a use or commercial use successful or not. So that's really like from a land use standpoint. And so when we had a discussion in terms of what type of land use or zoning should be, most appropriate over here, then obviously you look at the general plan. And so that's been kind of like the guiding principle and trying to go more on the lightest of the industrial, given the fact that this is an area of transition. There are also like comments on the relative to the land use issue, but maybe you shouldn't have commercial uses or industrial uses kind of mixed up within the residential area. I can understand some of that point. However, over time, there has been like in years past, zoning was highly segregated, commercial, residential. And then over time, what has happened is that there's been more a growing sense of a need for having mixed use, having commercial and residential, so that it kind of helps address some of the the traffic issues because people now can work and live basically in the same area. So that's the concept of, like mixed use. You've had like a number of project district zoning, which allows for this mixed use kind of concept. And, like unfortunately, like in the Waikea house lot area, it's, you don't have an automatic zone that zones that whole area mixed use. So you have to do it like on a case by case basis. And such is the situation here. If you just, like we're all, I think pretty much, I know you kind of like work in that area, Mr. Chairman, so you kind of like know the intersection very well. So on the corner of Lani Kaula and Manona Street, it's also like a commercial complex right in that area. They have like I think a visitor or it's like a tour company right on the corner. So, it's the same kind of like situation from a land use standpoint. If you go like Big Island Candies and you go down to the Don's Grill area, you see some beginnings of commercial uses too. So that's been the general pattern within the house lot area, kind of like a mixed use. Having said that, so going to now to the traffic question. We had recognized there is a need to restrict access on Lani Kaula because if you allow for left turn getting into the property on Lani Kaula and you don't have like multiple lanes in that particular area. So what happens is that the car then backs up into the intersection and that's not a good situation. And that's the reason why the suggestion was to have a limited only right turn in, right turn out. On Manona Street, on the other end, it's a little bit different because if you look at the map, you already see that there is like a median lane. It starts off initially as like you have like what we commonly call as a suicide lane. In the common area, you have two lanes and then you have one lane expressly dedicated for turning. And this is the situation right over here. And where it comes to the intersection, however, that so-called turning lane eventually migrates into like a dedicated left turn lane at the intersection area. So if you allow for a left turn, the way that we look at it, if you allow for a left turn from Monona Street coming into the property, then you won't necessarily have that kind of backup because you have an opportunity for vehicles that's traveling on the Puna direction to kind of bypass that area and kind of continue on. We are sensitive to what the road said about the location of the access. It was kind of like deliberate to have that access point be situated as far as it could, from the intersection, for obvious reasons from a traffic congestion perspective. However, in light of what the roads are saying, then, there is perhaps like an opportunity for a consolidated access so as to kind of minimize that issue. We don't know necessarily, whether that's can or cannot be done, but it's something that the owner, and that's the reason why I called Mr. Hamilton up here, to see whether he'll be willing to kind of step back and engage the roads and possibly the Osatos to see whether, anything can be done. I think relative to the Osato, because their property is not adjacent, there's very little that can be done to address the concern. But however, relative to the roads, I think that, I think a discussion might come in handy. The other, I forgot to mention, I'm looking at that map right now, but the site right now they have two access to the property, two access that comes in from Monona Street. There are like two existing single family dwelling. They're not in the best case. The applicant has already taken out building permits, demolition permits for those right now, but he has not yet pulled the trigger on demolishing it yet. One of the homes right now, as I understand, and correct me, Mr. Hamilton, is currently occupied and that person is doing some woodwork on that area in that so-called warehouse area. For those who are familiar, with that area, that warehouse area has kind of morphed into a whole different variety of type of industrially related use. I remember at one point in time it was used to repair like lawnmowers and things like that. So anyway, it's that area. And Mr. Hamilton, in my discussion with him, he readily concedes that the existing two residential structure is not really like the best. And then, at some point in time, it should be demolished. So, having, maybe giving us a chance, I think, so to step back, give us a chance to talk to the roads and see maybe how, if anything, we can kind of maybe ameliorate their issues. Maybe we can't, but at least I think long story being short, I think we're asking that we don't mind having this application be continued to enable us to reach out to the roads particularly and see what can be done.
Thank you, Mr. Fouquet. Commissioners, questions, comments? Oh,
Yeah.
Mr.
You don't mind?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just, this is an investment property for us. We've had it for 20 years. It's been rentals, and small businesses. I've lived in Hilo, 55 years. So we farm up in Curtistown. And this is just side thing for us. I feel it is a real eyesore. I know the houses. They're not habitable. And we need to tear them down regardless. And we do have like Sydney said, we have our permits approved. We're not intending, and we think we'll make the neighborhood better. It'll definitely look better than it does now. There is a homeless problem. I've continually kicked people out of the house. The police have been involved in every time. So it's happening there. So I want to get rid of that so that hopefully it cleans it up. So that's our intent. Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? So I know this road very well, like Mr. Fouquet says. I actually grew up on Lanicala Street, Puna side. So I know this property. I've driven past it. I walked past it when I was a kid, and I look at the proposed conceptual plan here, right, of the building, and I saw that there's 2 bays in there, loading bays. Is that correct? Is that roll up?
They're just, right now, the existing building just had roll-ups in the front.
Okay.
No storefronts.
Okay.
We haven't actually finalized our plan. This is like the size we were looking at.
Yeah.
We don't have any intended tenants yet. We've talked to people. I talked to a property manager in the last couple days. She manages Hilo Shopping Center, Kilauea Plaza, Tribune Herald, a bunch of properties down by the docks. She says they're 100% full. They don't have any vacancies. So this person would, through Big Island Lands, they're gonna manage it for us. But the specific design of the building it's gonna be something in this size, but it might change as where a storefront window is, or if it's a roll-up door and someone has a tinting company in there.
Okay, yeah, the only reason why I brought this up was because if this was like a loading dock and then you have big trucks coming into that road, you're basically blocking off that whole street on Lanicala Street to get into the property to load those trucks. And I'm familiar because we have trucks at where I work all the time that are loading and unloading stuff. So that would be my concern if this was, what that conceptual design is for, loading trucks in those 2 bays. And I agree that, coming in from the other side, from Lanicala side coming in, that makes sense. But, turning left into the property on Lanicala, that won't work. I mean, the best example that I can think of right now of the same situation is we have a food establishment right at the corner of Kamehameha Avenue.
The dental clinic area.
And you have people stuck in traffic because somebody's trying to turn left. And I've actually gotten hit because somebody wasn't paying attention. I was trying to go turn left into that intersection, and the car behind me thought I was going already and, hit me. But that's the kind of situation I see with having that kind of situation where you have to turn left into that property. But other than that, yeah, just wanted to express my concern on that specific issue. But any other commissioners have any questions or concerns? If not, I think we don't have to take action because you're requesting the continuance. Is that correct?
There should be a motion for a continuance and
Okay.
then a vote.
Okay. Okay, so at the request of the. Oh, yes, yes. Sorry, we forgot that DPW is in the back there. Did you want them to address their concerns with the traffic?
I think it would be good.
Okay.
So, we all can learn at the same
Okay.
time, so.
Ms. Matsumoto? Okay. I could swear you in. Yeah. You swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter before the Windward Planning Commission.
Yes, I do.
Okay, please state your name, where you reside, and you can start.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Robin Matsumoto. I'm a civil engineer 5 with the Department of Public Works Engineering Division. I reside in Hilo. So regarding the recommendation from Public Works, just based on the standard of the road, it's determined to be a collector road. So it has a higher density than just minor roads. So it's our policy to recommend right in, right out. We don't want cars turning left into these properties. So it's strictly based on the road and not that necessarily the property itself. We talk about drive-through establishments as well. Unfortunately, we don't have any provisions in our code right now to address those issues. So that's another concern of ours as well. So at least we would have some restrictions. I see in the planning director's recommendation, he is recommending that, it just be with the approval of the Department of Public Works, because I know as many times policy changes as well. So.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions for DPW?
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
just to add to that, we've had some informal discussions, with, I've had, with, Robin. And basically, the thought was, currently, the traffic studies are not required if your projected volume is less than 50. And in this situation, you're given the size of the property. It doesn't, meet that threshold. However, like as we were talking about it, there are certain type of uses, drive-through being one of them, that has a tendency to, if you don't, like make sure that everything is internalized, or at least within the property, that you have like a backup. And all you need to do is just look at, the Cruising Coffee over here, or Starbucks, McDonald's on Kilauea, Tinoole. You see that kind of potential. So, the thought was if there are going to be, if the proposed use, if the zoning were approved, that if for any use, if the zoning were approved, then the next phase is you have to still secure plan approval, at which time then the use is going to have to be confirmed to be permitted or not. That setbacks are all according to the code as well as the parking. So the thought was if you're going to have certain type of uses which could have like that spillover into the public roadway area, then there should be like a special traffic assessment done with appropriate mitigation, at which time then Public Works can make a decision whether to allow a left turn or not allow a left turn. So, and so maybe, in addition to having a condition that would address specifically what you call a drive-through, there might be other type of uses like what you just pointed out, like if it's going to require like storage that generates like those Matson container kind of coming in, then that's another matter. But at this point in time, I talked to Mr. Hamilton earlier, and he definitely has no vision of having a drive-through or like the Matson container kind of Mexican container generated type of traffic coming in, but that's him. You know, tomorrow the property might be sold to someone else and who may have different ideas. So, you know, given that situation, so that's why, you know, to provide that kind of potential, you know, the suggestion was that if it goes through, then, you know, we would like to propose a condition that would essentially say that if you're gonna have these kind of uses, then you're gonna have a traffic assessment study that's approved by DPW before you can move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Fouquet. Okay, commissioners, any other comments or questions? If not, thank you, Ms. Matsumoto. Thank you, Mr. Fouquet. We have a motion on the continuance of this matter until Mr. Fouquet, until you guys bring it back to the planning department? Or would you like to continue it to the next meeting?
To the next meeting, I think, because that's gonna be within a month, so.
Okay.
yes, you know, I think we'd like to initiate such discussion sooner rather than later.
Okay, so continuance until the next Windward Planning Commission.
I'll make the motion to continue this application till next month's Windward Planning Commission meeting.
Is motion made by Vice Chair Daniele. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Perrin to continue this matter on, just for the record, application Manono Corner LLC PL-REZ 2023-000053, application for change of zone. Okay, any other discussion on this matter? If not, roll call vote.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. On the motion to continue, Commissioner Daniele,
Aye.
Commissioner Perrin,
Aye.
Commissioner Belog,
Aye.
Commissioner Kush,
Aye.
and Chair Lynn.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fouquet. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Okay. Let's take a 5-minute break. 5 minutes. We'll come back at 10, what is that? 18?
Right, but
Okay, Tracy, we recording again?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the Windward Planning Commission will now come out of recess. We'll now move on to Planning Director's report on special management area determinations and minor permits issued by the Planning Director for the month of January 2024. This was distributed via email. Commissioners, do you have any comments or concerns regarding that report? No? Okay. And the last thing we have here is agenda items for next meeting. Is there anything that the commissioners would like to have discussed by planning department or planning director for the next meeting? I think maybe if director, if you want to share that one bill that's going to council next week again for the time extensions.
Okay, I mean, I haven't had a good opportunity to look at it, but my understanding mentioned earlier was the bill that was previously approved, which no longer allows the planning director the ability to approve administrative time extensions. And if an applicant currently has a timed condition that's been approved recently, there will be a condition that says that if they want additional time beyond that, they need to they need to submit to the planning department. We prepare a resolution which goes to council for a time extension. There's been some applications where the planning director feel that a timing condition is not appropriate or not needed because the actual request for the zoning is appropriate and consistent for that particular area. So the request has gone up without a timing condition, but now a bill is being introduced that the planning director provide a timing condition with rezonings. So we'll be hearing that on, I believe it's Tuesday, the 7th at planning committee at the council.
Thank you, Director. Okay, and then Christian.
Sure, yeah. So with the addition of the continued item from today, we have 3 agenda items on the March 7th agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. And
Chairman, I have a question.
Go
really
ahead,
Quick.
Commissioner.
Is there any known timeline for the general plan reviews for the planning commission as well as bills 121, 22, 23 hitting the planning commission's docket?
Good question. Is it, so you're talking about the Ohana zoning bill as well as the short-term rental bill, right?
Yeah, STVR is 121, deletion of the bed and breakfast is 22, and ADUs is 123.
I can answer that. The bills were heard at planning committee last week. They were up. They were approved to send them to the planning department. We have received them. We are preparing backgrounds and recommendations, and we need to bring them to both commissions within 120 days of receipt. So you should be seeing that pretty quickly.
Does that mean March?
Not March, probably April, but it could be March. We'll see how quickly we get the backgrounds and recommendations together. As far as the general plan, I haven't been personally involved in that as much as our director. My understanding is we're hoping for this year to bring it to the commissions, but it could be longer than that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Commissioner Kush. Any other questions or announcements? Okay, if not, The Windward Planning Commission's next monthly meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, March 7th, 2024, here in the County Council Chambers in Hilo, and the public can also testify via Zoom. The date and the venue are subject to change. And if nothing else, then there's no further business. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make the motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Moved by Vice Chair Daniele. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Perrin. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned at 10:26. Thank you.